everyone, Husky Ninja here, and today is the first video I am doing of a new series. It will be a small series, but it is having a look at LARP. What is LARP, you may be asking? Well, I'm going to be covering that in today's video. So, let's start! What is LARP? LARP stands for Live Action Roleplay. The best way I can compare it to is, have you ever wanted to actually be your D&D character? Or have you ever wished you could experience what it's like to be in an isekai anime? Well, LARP is your answer. There are several ways to go about LARP, depending on systems and what company you go with, but this series is going to be based off my own experience with LARP, which I am still new at, and it is a lot of fun. You get to meet new people, make new friends, and it's a nice break from day-to-day stresses. How did I find a LARP group? A LARP group or a LARP company is basically a company that runs the event for you. They're basically the equivalent of your dungeon master in D&D. They help build the world, make sure everyone's safe and happy, and they just make sure everyone has a really good time. The best one I have found is a small company called Hero Fest, based here in the UK, and basically I found them at a little event called LARPCon, where you have people from different LARP companies / groups come, and basically, you want to try LARP? Join us, as well as where you can buy equipment for LARP. Now, Hero Fest, they have a lot of stuff that's a lot easier to understand, and isn't basically we're going to drop you in at a high level where you have no idea what you're doing. Where a lot of people recommend Empire LARP, I personally had a look at their stuff and I found it too overwhelming for my brain. But with Hero Fest, it's simple, it's easy to understand. The world building of it is amazing. So if you have the chance, definitely go try and contact your local LARP companies / groups, or even ask any of your friends who do LARP. Who do they go and do LARP with? And you're probably wondering, what is LARP equipment? Basically, you know the swords you see in TV shows and that? Basically, they don't cause harm, and they're really safe. Those are equivalently LARP weapons. You can't get injured from them, except for slight bruising, and arrows have a sponge head instead of an actual arrow head. So it's basically a lot of stuff just to make sure you don't get injured if you get hit by it or if you fall. And it's just a lot of fun to play with them. Especially for when you're in combat. Plus, you can use them with cosplays if you really need to. And they're really easy to get hold of. If expensive, that's the main drawback with LARP, is the expense, especially when you're brand new to it and you're just starting out. But definitely contact companies you know that sell LARP equipment. For me, it's the likes of LARP Inn here in the UK, as well as basically going to LARPCon, which is basically like a huge like mini convention slash market for LARP. There's also one called What's Your Game, which is, from what some of my friends told me, is a bigger scale version of LARPCon. But please bear in mind, if you decide to be an archer, which is what my LARP character Willow Oak Evergreen is, who is a half high elf, half human ranger. She's both an archer and a sword fighter. If you're an archer, you need to remind yourself, each time you shoot an arrow, there goes the cost of that arrow every time you take a shot. Just in case you do lose your arrow, it's something to keep in mind. As well as on your first day there, known as an out of character day, they will run you through like checking all your weapons, make sure you know what you're doing, as well as competency tests for archery. What is a LARP character, you may be wondering? For me mentioning my one, Willow Evergreen. A LARP character can be either a character you have from playing D&D, who you've grown really fond of, and you decide, I'm going to turn them into a LARP character, or a fantasy version of yourself. And you just follow your LARP company / group's character creation, and it's really easy with some of them to transfer. Best example being Willow Oak Evergreen, who I'll just use her first name of Willow Oak, of transferring her from D&D to LARP. Where she's basically an archer and a one-handed sword user. And she is a ranger like she is in D&D. As I am going to cover what factions are for all of you. But it's a lot of fun. And it's a good way to just not be yourself for like a few days, basically a long weekend. And afterwards, you just feel recharged. You also can just create a whole new character, or make a character based off your favorite anime characters. All depending on what can go in your LARP company / LARP group's rules when it comes to character creation. What is in character? Basically, you have one day at your LARP event where you're not in character and it's just making sure you set up camp, or you get yourself settled in, meet some new people, catch up with people you've already met, ask any questions you may have before you even start with the in-character day, which with Hero Fest is from the morning of the second day right up to the last day, roughly. And basically you act as your character. So instead of saying your actual name, you go by your character's name. And you act as your character would. And other people will refer to you as your character, or they'll give your character a nickname. and it is a lot of fun. And they only really ask that you just let people know if you're going to be out of character, with either a finger up in the air or have a white fabric sash across yourself, so that they just know that either you're on your way to somewhere else that's out of character, or you just need a mini breather from being in character. And it is a really good solid system to know. It can differ LARP company / group to different ones. So it's definitely something to double check with people who run a LARP event that you are going to. What is a LARP faction? A LARP faction is basically equivalent to D&D's classes. Best example I have is Willow. In D&D, she's classed as a ranger. And her LARP version of herself is a ranger as well. Depending on which companies for LARP events you go to, it will differ how many they have, or if they have separate factions. At Hero Fest, there are quite a few. Your rangers are your typical like Lord of the Rings / Legend of Zelda type rangers. Then you have your more Viking style sea wolves. You also have a pirate faction, an undead faction, a Scots faction. And it's just amazing that, yes, you may all be from different factions, but you can make alliances between factions and make friends along the way. You can start with friends of in character, and then you find out there's supposed to be friends outside of character as well. And it's just a lot of fun. So depending on what you're more into, for your character, or what you think your character is more like, will basically tell you what faction your character belongs in. But you do always start off as a mercenary with Hero Fest, where they teach you sword combat. If you do archery, you have an archery competency test. And they just help walk you through LARP. The best way to think about it is the mercenaries are your tutorial levels, where it just helps you get to know how the systems work. You do have points where you can walk around and talk to other people. And what I did during those times was I walked around and talked to the heads of different factions, just to make sure if I was making the right choice of going fully ranger, or if there was another faction that caught my eye. But as soon as I said of the rangers, it just felt like home for my character. And I joined them. Oh, that is all for today's video, just to break down some terminologies for LARP. And next time, I hope to cover some things of what LARP means to people. So until then, please like and subscribe, and check out the rest of the videos here on my channel. And until next time, bye everyone!